Okay, so our first lesson today, we are going to be looking at a recap of where we got up to with perfect competition. So the first thing that we need to look at is on the diagram, understanding that demand for a firm and demand for the market might actually look very differently. So in our previous learning, we know that the AR and MR curve for firms is a representation of their demand curve. But actually, their demand curve may not be the same as the market's demand curve. So we presume that when we look at the industry has a downward sloping demand curve. Make sure that we label our axes. And an upward sloping supply curve, as always, and therefore we've got a quantity equilibrium and a price equilibrium. So under perfect competition, we are aware that actually it's normal market mechanisms that set the price equilibrium and the quantity equilibrium, and that's a lot to do with the characteristics that we looked at previously with perfect information. All suppliers and consumers all know the same information. So therefore, the price that firms take is the equilibrium market price. So here we can take that price across to here, and this can be our price. And for the firm, this is going to be our firm diagram. So as always, we're going to label our axes and have quantity here, and this is for our firm. So firms in perfect competition are price takers, so they take the market price, and therefore despite the industry having a downward sloping demand curve, the firm itself doesn't have a downward sloping demand curve. They actually have a perfectly elastic demand curve, and I'll get onto the theory reasons why in a moment, but I will prove as to why that happens kind of numerically. So let's take a random price here and say that this market equilibrium for this good is £5. So we have a market price of £5. And the firm has no kind of control over setting their own prices. So let's have a look at the quantity they may sell in the market. We'll just do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but obviously this goes on as we move along here. And then we'll have a look at the total revenue that the firm makes, the average revenue the firm makes, and then look at the marginal revenue that the firm makes also. So if a firm sells one at £5, their total revenue is going to be 5. At 2, their total revenue is going to be 10, and obviously that's just 2 times the market price there. For 3, it's going to be 15. For 4, we're going to have 20, and then for 5, we're going to have 25. So our average revenue, when we work out our average revenue, we just take our total revenue and we divide it by quantity. So here, obviously, 1 divided by 5 gives us 5. 10 divided by 2 gives us 5. 15 divided by 3 gives us 5. 20 divided by 4 gives us 5. And 25 divided by 5 gives us 5. So up until now we can see here that our average revenue is constant at 5, which is equal to our market price. Now our marginal revenue, as we know, our marginal revenue is just our additional revenue for selling 1 extra unit. So from 0 to 1 we've gained £5 of marginal revenue. From 1 to 2 we've gained £5 of marginal revenue. From 2 to 3, we've gained £5 of marginal revenue. From 3 to 4, we've gained £5 of marginal revenue. And 4 to 5, we've gained £5 of marginal revenue. So if we have a price that's 5 here, the firm also equally at £5 here has AR equal to their MR, and if you need to pause and go back through that, that's directly here as well. So theoretically wise, the reason why these two here are different, so our demand curve for the firm is completely different to our demand curve for the industry, just looks at, say for instance, the industry good here is jumpers. When a price is high, consumers will buy not many jumpers, and as the price falls, more consumers will enter the market, normal market conditions for that. But when we look at the firm, under perfect competition, we are aware that there are an unlimited numbers of buyers and sellers, and there's perfect information in the market. And therefore, if one firm decides to increase or decrease their price, then because there's perfect information, consumers will be aware of the price changes that are happening in the market, and therefore if a firm increases their price, then all consumers in the market will know that other firms haven't compared to them, and they will move directly to those firms because, you know, there's no kind of location or anything else in the market. Please be reminded it's a completely theoretical market. So another reason why as well is when we think about a firm reducing their price, we'll have a look at the short run and long run effects of that. But when a firm reduces their price, all other firms in the market are well aware that that firm has reduced its price, again because of perfect information, and they will also reduce their price. So therefore, what we actually see is this MR and AR curve shifting down rather than more consumers going to this specific firm here. So therefore, we can see that the demand curve for the industry may well be downward sloping, but actually for the firm, it's perfectly elastic. When we look at the cost curves for the firm, it's exactly the same, and we can put those in now. So our marginal cost is still upward sloping. The Nike swoosh, as we've been through in class before, and our average costs, for now we'll have a look at this in our next video and we'll kind of explain a little bit more. Our average cost can be below here. All rules do still apply, so your average cost will be cutting through your marginal cost will cut through your average cost at its lowest point, and if you need any reminder for that why, please refer to your books for that. So overall, throughout this we should be able to see that we have a downward sloping demand curve for the industry that turns to a completely elastic demand curve for the firm, and these are all the reasons why, numerically and also theoretically as well. So that's today's update lesson, and we'll next lesson be looking at what that means for the short run and what that means in the long run. Thank you.